logic model for a social project design. So a theory of change, input, output, outcome, and the impact. So these are the topics which we will cover. So we all know social sector in India, that is not a new concept that we followed from last many centuries. India has a long tradition of voluntary action. So this concept of social sector is perhaps not new for India, because we have a long tradition of voluntary action, and these are rooted in community service, religious and cultural philanthropy, collective self-help, Shramdan. So all these are actually, we are well familiar with that, how actually temples are built, religious and cultural philanthropy. So the places of worship, not only in India, but across the world, actually, we know how our culture and our religion that is spread across the world. Just 1 minute. Huh? So this is long tradition and a pre-independence, a social reform movement addressing caste, gender, and education. So we all are familiar how these movements were carried out prior to independence and post-independence also, how the state-led welfare model. So in our constitution also, we all know the concept of India as a welfare state that is recognized, and the guiding principle which is framed under Constitution of India. So that provide a guidance to the policy maker to make to evolve or to frame policy in overall welfare of the citizens of India, so that each one get the fruits of development. So social reform movement addressing caste, gender, education, that was pre-independence, and post-independence, a state-led welfare model, civil society complement the government efforts. So we know how civil society was responsible for bringing the RTI, right to information, and many other such initiative. Between 1970 and 80, a rise of professional NGO, heavy reliance on international donor funding. So that was reality. International donation, that is a good thing. Till the time it is spent for the desired purpose or desired goal or desired objective or desired aim. But if these funds are diverted, so how it can have a negative impact, we all know. So foreign or international donation, that is having a good as well as bad effect. So a regulation of foreign donation, that is very important. And as we all are aware, of late government has taken steps in that. FCRA, Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, that is the example. 1991 liberalization, so NGO emerged as advocate for rights and accountability and engagement in policy dialogue and systematic reforms. And finally, the concept of corporate CSR, that was recognized in Companies Act 2013 under the provisions of Companies Act 2013. So we all know corporate social responsibility, that is mandate, which is created in a structured way for a domestic funding source. So this is just brief breakdown, historical evaluation of the social sector in India. And early, now we will concentrate on the legal and regulatory foundation. So we all know there is no a single legal framework. There are multiple of that. So early a legal framework, so that included Societies Registration Act and Indian Trust Act. So Indian Trust Act and these are, as we can see, prior to independence, very old societies and Indian Trust Act. And subsequently, the Bombay Public Trust Act, Income Tax Act for tax exemption, compliance and reporting, Companies Act, Section 8 company, we all know, Foreign Contribution Regulation Act or FCRA, so a foreign funding regulation. So, means this is the legal framework to deal with the social sector, and there is no a single law or a single framework that regulate the social sector. So, uh, that is actually key professional implication, because absence of a single regulator will actually increase the compliance burden. So compliance obligation vary significantly by a legal form, and financial reporting, audit, and governance requirement. These are also not uniform. These are not uniform. So this is legal framework. So, what exactly is the meaning of a social sector or the third sector? So, traditionally, we all know two sectors are recognized, that is non-state and non-market. The government sector and the commercial sector, but social sector is now recognized as the third sector. So that is non-state and non-market sector, and that will include the NGO, NPO, the trust, society, a Section 8 company, a social enterprise. Social enterprise also divided into two categories. We have non-profit social enterprise and for-profit social enterprise, then collective, network, foundation. So, social sector include a very wide spectrum, starting with NGO, NPO to trust, society, Section 8 company, social enterprise, collective, network, foundation. But ultimately, the core objective or core aim or core purpose of social sector, that is creation of public good and human development and social well-being. So, key domains within that is education, health, sanitation, housing, water, energy access, environment, climate action. So all these are the domain within the social sector. These are the area of work which social sector is doing. And
Just one question, sir. The social
yeah,
sector is the third sector.
yes,
Yeah, that means separate. It's not a separate bullet. Both are same.
huh? Social sector is recognized as the third sector, sir.
Third sector. Okay, okay. Because that separate two bullets are. That's why I got some. Okay, right.
Then that meaning of social sector oblique third sector.
Okay then. Right. Thank you. Right.
Yes. So this operates across diverse intervention area like remote and tribal area development, juvenile justice and child protection, cultural and heritage preservation, transparency and governance reform. So these are the actually diverse area in which social sector so operate. Actually, these are the area of operation for social sector or the third sector. And major national contribution, so we all know a polio eradication campaign, disaster relief, rehabilitation, advocacy led policy reform. So this right to education, right to information, we discussed about that. So these are considered to be the major national contribution by the social sector. And Emerging trend, if we talk about the emerging trend, so increasing youth and professional participation, greater adoption of digital tools, emphasize on monitoring, evaluation, and learning. So these are the emerging trend, and we all know now how the younger generation, they are uh, um, becoming aware to preserve the environment, because they know the adverse impact of the environment because of climate change. We all know how the cost of living is increasing, how the government expenditure is going up, how it is impacting regions across the world, even the regions like California state in USA, which is considered to be the developed state, one of the developed state in the world. So they are also not free from adverse impact of climate change. Uh, uh, so a younger generation, they actually give more importance to the sustainability. So that is considered to be the very positive emerging trend. And the core approach of a social organization. So these are actually meant to address gap where a government capacity is constrained. So we all know because of the adverse impact of climate change, how the government expenditure is going up every year. Flood, hurricanes, and other such events, physical events like that. So because of that, year after year, the government expenditure is increasing, and government, as we all are aware, has limited resources, particularly in today's world of geopolitical tension. So a government sector or social sector, a social upkeep. So that will play a very important role to address the gap where government capacity is constrained and market solutions are unviable or exclusionary. So focus on marginalized and undeserved community. That is the core area of work for the social sector. And social sector use evidence-based advocacy based on research, pilot project, policy input, and right-based development. So addressing structural inequities, strengthening voice, agency, and access, a collaboration across government, private sector, and the community. So social sector, in a way, it act as a link between the government organization, private sector, and various community, and that is with a view to actually address the gap where a government capacity is limited or constrained and market solutions are unviable. So that these are the core approach of the social sector organization. And we all know about the SDG. So this UN 2030 agenda adopted in 2015, and SDG provide a common global development framework, which is a shared language for government, donors, and investor. And core SDG principle include economic growth must align with the equity and sustainability, and SDG mapping in improve comparability. So we all know now SDG, UN recognize SDG. These are widely used in CSR, environmental, social, and governance, and social stock exchange reporting. So very important. And there are which are available on a sustainable development goal or SDG, and many of courses. So I have also completed one such a course. I would like to show you. I will stop sharing this and I will be back in just 1 minute. So this is just for your information in case you are interested to do that. So this is very helpful. So this is Duke University, this impact measurement and management for the SDG. So this certificate course available on a Coursera, and this is free of cost. Very important online non-credit course that is authorized by the Duke University and offered through the Coursera. So if you are interested to know more about the this particular subject, so you can make use of that. So these 17 sustainable development goals, and you can search on internet. Every country they file their progress report on what they have achieved. And as we have seen in the previous slide, so the target is 2030. So we are nearing 2030 now. Only 4 years are left. We are in 2026, but this was adopted in 2015. But we all know how actually the present geopolitical environment that is actually responsible for not achieving 100% what was visualized in 2015, around 11 years back. So we all know the ongoing war, the technological development, the use of increased use of fossil fuel. So one country which is a developed country and that can drive the other country that is actually uh, going out of its commitment from the Paris Accord, we all know. So all these current events actually are leading to the non-achievement of what originally was visualized in 2015. But still, there are many organizations who are diligently doing these social service. They recognized ki, this is the time to correct whatever uh, the
Your voice is breaking, sir.
in the past, we all know. So, audible?
Your voice is breaking, cracking rather.
Okay.
Maybe for
So,
your
my connectivity,
yeah, your connectivity must be a problem.
my connectivity is okay. Uh-huh. Other part, am I audible to other participants?
So you are breaking in the middle
Even I was
sometimes.
facing the same issue. Your voice was breaking.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, through other internet connection, just give me a minute. Eh, no?
I think it's better now.
Mm. It's better now.
Yeah, it's better.
Hanji.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So these 17 sustainable goals, so a comprehensive coverage across poverty, hunger, health, education, gender, water, energy, jobs, climate, biodiversity, institution. So these are the major area, major factor around which these 17 SDGs are framed, and a strong relevance for India. These 17 SDG have a very strong relevance for India because as we all know, higher interstate and intrastate disparity. So even within a state, some areas are developed and some area have remain undeveloped. No a state, no geographical state we can claim is fully developed. If you take example of Mumbai, then there are certain cities like if you take example of Maharashtra, then certain cities are there like Mumbai, Pune, Nagpur, Aurangabad. So these are developed, but there are other remote area which have remained undeveloped even after so many years of independence. So there is actually development is not across the board. So we all know disparities, whether it is interstate or intrastate, between the state or within the state, and increasing a use in CSR project classification, social enterprise impact reporting, social stock exchange disclosure document. So and now actually these 17 STG, these are increasingly used in CSR project classification, social enterprise impact reporting, and a social stock exchange disclosure document. So very important, 17 STG. And social enterprise in India, so that gained formal visibility late 90, and that was inspired by global social entrepreneurship movement and respond to a limitation of grant dependent NGO model. So this emergence of social enterprises was a response to the grant dependent NGO. So we all know actually a NGO sometime have a fund and sometime they are constrained of the fund, and these social enterprises are a purely profit driven means social enterprise is replied to the purely profit driven enterprises. So key value proposition, this is market based solution to a social problem, scalability and sustainability. So these are the value proposition which are put forward by the social enterprise, and that has increased relevance in impact investment ecosystem. So that is the role which social enterprises are playing. And uh, meaning of a social enterprise, so application entrepreneur mindset to a social challenge, and focus of the social enterprise, that is on innovation, efficiency, replicability. And as we have seen in the previous slide, so even the social within the social enterprise, we have a two model, not for a profit social enterprises and for a profit social enterprises. So they have their own revenue model, cost management, performance metrics, and objective is to create lasting social change without coercion and move from charity to the empowerment. So NGO and also that is charity dependent on grant or a donation. So the purpose of social enterprise is to move from a charity to the empowerment. So these are the key characteristics of a social enterprise. The purpose is clearly defined a social or environmental mission, and impact is intentional and measurable. So this is very important. And there actually the role of social impact assessor come into play. The measurable impact is highlighted through the report. So that is very important. Enterprise approach is market orientation and a financial discipline and a social stewardship. So public good orientation, ethical governance, and the as we all know, whatever actually a profit is earned or surplus is generated by a traditional business enterprise. So they had two options, either to distribute that profit or surplus to the owners of that business. If it is company, then shareholders are the owner. So a company distribute that surplus by way of a dividend to the shareholder, or actually the company retain that surplus in a business for a further development. So these are a two alternative, a two avenue, to a traditional commercial enterprise. But the social enterprise, so actually they reinvest into the mission. So distribution of a surplus, that is not the goal here when it is claimed to be a social enterprise. So a distribution of profit, that is either a zero or a negligible, and whatever a surplus is generated, that is reinvested into the mission, and a limited or no profit distribution, a limited or no profit distribution. So this core philosophy of social enterprise, profit and impact. So reject the binary thinking, profit versus purpose. So social enterprise do not view profit and impact as a competing objective. Profit is treated as enabling mechanism, not the end goal, not the end goal. So as we discussed, actually, it is not that social enterprise means non-profit. There are a for-profit social enterprise also. So these enterprise work in such a way that they create the social impact, and at the same time that any enterprise will survive in a long term, only and only if it is self-sufficient. So without a profit, probably a social enterprise cannot survive for a long duration. So profit and impact, these are actually not viewed as a competing objective. These run parallelly, profit and impact. So profit is treated as a enabling mechanism. Because of profit only, the social enterprise will survive in a long run. But profit is not the end goal. So we all know the traditional commercial enterprise, they work for the wealth maximization of with the clear mandate or objective of wealth maximization. But here the goal of social enterprise is not the profit maximization. Their goal is to create impact along with the generation of profit. So a financial surplus function as fuel for a continuity and scale. So any, as we already discussed, any enterprise will prosper only and only if internally generated resources are again reinvested into the enterprise. So that will act as fuel for a continuity of the social enterprise, survival of the social enterprise, and increasing the scale of activities of the enterprise. That will be a stabilizer against funding volatility. So if any enterprise is dependent on the outside a fund, outside donation, outside grant. So at times that can be a very volatile. sometime they have a surplus fund, and sometime they have a paucity of fund. So to avoid that, actually, the profit, if self resources are self generated, so that will stabilize the operation of that enterprise, and that is a tool for quality, innovation, and efficiency. So if the uh, ultimate objective is fixed, so that will motivate the management to make a further innovation, increase their productivity or the efficiency. So profit versus purpose, these are very important. And central belief, financial viability will strengthen the social impact. So sustainable revenue will allow predictable and uninterrupted service delivery. So we have seen many social enterprise, whether they are working in medicine or whether they are working in education. So if they have a sustainable source of revenue, so because of that they are able to provide uninterrupted service to the society in a very predictable manner, and expansion into undeserved or high risk geography. Ultimate aim is to create the social impact. So they actually venture into high risk geographics area also, which traditional commercial enterprises do not venture. And long-term investment in people, systems, and technology. Fitness discipline will improve the impact effectiveness. So better targeting of the beneficiary, lower leakage and inefficiency, and a replicable and scalable intervention model. Replicable and a scalable intervention model. So a financial success alone does not define a social enterprise. Social intent must remain a primary, intentional, and explicit. So this is the main difference between the traditional commercial enterprise and a for-profit social enterprise. So for-profit social enterprise, they they actually not strive for a financial success only. Their intention is also to create social impact. So primary or explicit intent is social service. So this is a core philosophy of the social enterprise, profit and impact. But actually, because their aim is a profit, so there can be instances of mission drift, governance, particularly in Indian context. So key risk is mission drift, when a profit will dominate the decision making. After all, we all are a human being. So shift from undeserved beneficiary to higher paying a customer. So we all know when a hospital is functioning for the social good. So it may happen that in order to have a more revenue or a more profit, it may happen that they concentrate more on higher paying patient, or if it is a business enterprise, than on a customer. So product redesign favoring margins over a social outcome, a geographic move from a difficult region to a commercially attractive market. So if they actually do that, so there will not be any difference between traditional commercial enterprise and a social enterprise, because this is exactly what a traditional commercial enterprise will do. They will move to the a commercially attractive market rather than concentrating on the difficult region, and pricing change dilute the affordability and inclusion. So when we talk about for-profit social enterprises, so these are the risk involved in the for-profit social enterprises. Governance is critical. So strong board act as a custodian of the social intent. Best example, perhaps, of that in Indian context is the Tata Trust. We all know how actually a Tata Trust function over a very long period of time. So policy require a surplus reinvestment. So surplus is not distributed amongst the owner, rather it is reinvested in the mission or in the enterprise. Pricing and a beneficiary targeting and ethical growth and investor alignment. So investor, when they actually invest in an enterprise for creating a social impact, so it is the moral responsibility of the management to work in that direction to align with the intention of the investors. Management incentive must balance the financial performance and impact outcome. So this is also a very important when for-profit social enterprise. So they also they required to design a management incentive package in such a way that it give justice to the financial performance and impact outcome of that enterprise. And a role of impact measurement system, so clear a theory of change linking activities to outcome and impact indicator tracked over a period of time, and evidence of learning and a course correlation based on the data. So impact assessment is a continuous process because these projects are multi-year project, not limited to just 1 year. So impact assessment in a way is a continuous process. And these are the Indian sectoral illustrations. So health, high volume, low cost service model with outcome tracking. Energy, so decentralized clean energy, improving access and affordability. Education and skilling, so employability linked training with outcome metric. Livelihood, so inclusion and resilience for small producer. So these are actually the means working area of social enterprises in India: health, energy, education, livelihood, and not profit versus social enterprise. So non-profit depend on grants and donation, and these are vulnerable to the funding cycle. As we discussed, sometimes they will have a excessive fund, and there will be some period of time when they have a shortage of fund. So these are the traditional non-profit enterprises. But the social enterprise, so they earn revenue through goods and services, and they have better financial sustainability. And a key distinction, so nature of funding, not the intent of both traditional non-profit and social enterprise is the same, that is social good, but nature of funding is different, and both serve for the public good, require accountability and the transparency. Uh, so a funding landscape for the social enterprises. So access to the blended finance, social enterprise can have access to the blended finance like grant, CSR funding, impact equity, impact debt, and these are the ecosystem which support funding landscape of the social enterprises: incubators and accelerators, academic institution, multilateral agency. So it is a shift from philanthropy to the investment logic, a return expectation linked to the impact. So the investor in a social enterprises or donors in social enterprises, they expect return in the form of creation of a social impact, in the form of creation of social impact. So now we will go to the SEBI definition of a social enterprise. We all know in 2016, SEBI regulations have been amended. Social recognition under a security regulation. So these are formally recognized under a SEBI ICDR regulation, issue of capital and a disclosure requirement regulation, and move from a social purpose entity from a purely philanthropic space into the capital market ecosystem. So now actually social enterprise can raise funding through the social stock exchange. So that will introduce regulatory oversight, transparency, and investor protection. No. So, as we discussed, there are two eligible categories for the social enterprises. Number one, not for profit organization. We call that as NPO. So, that will include trust, society, a Section 8 company, and these are traditionally grant and a donation funded. And they are also permitted to raise fund on a social enterprise through a zero coupon, zero principal instrument. So we all know how actually traditional investment in bond work. So the investor on a periodical basis, predefined periodical basis, the investor will get a return in the form of coupon or interest payment, and at the time of redemption of bond, at the time of maturity of bond, the investor will get the principal amount back. So this is how actually the traditional bond work, a periodic payment of coupon and redemption of the principal amount at the time of maturity of the bond. But for social enterprises, there is a zero coupon, because the ultimate intent of investor is not a financial return. The intention of the investor is to create social impact. So they do not anticipate any financial return. So therefore, it is zero coupon, and even the principal amount that is not that is not refunded or redeemed to the investor. So there is no financial return, zero coupon, zero principal. Only expectation of the investor is to create the social impact, and SSE enable a donation mechanism. So social stock exchange will enable this facilitation of raising fund through JETC, for-profit social enterprises. So these are incorporated as a for-profit entity, and that can be a limited liability partnership or a company, etc. And they operate in a clear revenue generating a business model. So uh, 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 means in these area they actually work as a traditional commercial enterprise only, because traditional commercial enterprise also operate with a clear revenue generating business model, and they are eligible subject to a demonstration of primacy of social intent. So this is the differentiation between the traditional commercial enterprise and a social enterprise. A social enterprise have a primacy of social intent and compliance with the enhanced disclosure norm. Compliance with the enhanced disclosure norm. So these are the core eligibility requirement. A social impact must be primary objective, not the incidental. must operate in at least one of a SEBI prescribed social activity area and must serve the unserved or less privileged population and geographics lagging on development indicators, geographics which are lagging in development indicator. So these are the core eligibility requirement of a social enterprise as per the SEBI regulation, as per the SEBI regulation. So that is very important.
Sir, kindly explain demonstration of primacy of social intent. How can we say that this enterprise has a demonstration of primacy of social intent?
Okay. So just give me a minute. I will highlight certain document.
So they have to give a memorandum or they have to do some social
Right.
work.
They actually their role of a social impact assessor will come into play, madam. So they have to submit annual audit report, and like in a financial audit, means for a traditional commercial enterprise, they submit the financial audit report. So here it is a social impact assessment report. So I will actually take you through one of that. Social impact assessment report so that it is more clear. Just give me a minute.
Is it not at the time of constitution of the company will the memorandum
Constitution of
is
the company, it is required, madam. It is required. So, 1 minute, I will take you through that. And so these are a SEBI regulation, as you can see. This is a SEBI ICDR regulation, and their social stock exchange. This chapter 10A is the relevant chapter, and here if I take means see here the these provisions of this chapter apply to a not-for-profit organization seeking only get registered, not-for-profit organization seeking to get registered and raise a fund through a social stock exchange, and for-profit social enterprise seeking to identified as a social enterprise under the provision. So, what are the eligibility condition? So, in order to establish primacy of a social intent, such social enterprise shall meet the following eligibility criteria. So, the social enterprise shall be indulged in at least one of the following activity. So, either eradicating hunger, poverty, malnutrition, inequality, promoting healthcare, including mental health care, sanitation, making available safe drinking water. So they, a social enterprise, need to engage in one of these 17. In all, there are 17 activities. This is the list of activity in which social enterprise need to engage, and that will establish the primacy of its social intent, primacy of its social intent. So, is this clear, madam? Any question on that? As a commercial, traditional commercial enterprise engage in manufacturing of, say, FMCG goods, toothpaste, one example only. So here actually the objective of the social enterprise is to carry out this activity, either any activity which is related to eradicating of hunger, poverty, malnutrition, inequality, or the healthcare. So healthcare, mental healthcare, sanitation, making available safe drinking water. So if any of the enterprise is engaged in, say, providing a safe drinking water to the undeveloped area of a geographical state, so they actually can be recognized as a social enterprise because they are engaged in one of these 17 activities. So is this clear, madam? Any further question? I hope you are with me. No response. So I hope this is clear. These are primacy of social impact. And this is actually the annual report of a social enterprise. So they need to give this annual report in which they actually highlight how they achieve the intention of creating the social impact. So this is how actually it every year this annual report is submitted and it is filed on the stock filed with the stock exchange. So that will become a public document, and these are a very a detailed report, just like annual report of a traditional traditional commercial enterprise. So here actually they give annual report of activities which are carried out by them. So I hope this is clear.
Yes, sir.
And,
Thank you, sir.
okay. So as we discuss, the social impact must be the primary objective, not incidental, and they must operate at least one of SEBI prescribed social activity area. So there are 17 SEBI prescribed social activity area, and they must serve the unserved or less privileged population, a geographic lagging or a development indicator. And enhance disclosure and accountability. So once a social enterprise is registered on a social stock exchange, so naturally they will file a disclosure on a periodical basis. So that will actually make them more accountable, more transparent. So mandatory disclosure of social objective and target beneficiary, use of fund raised through a social stock exchange, defined impact indicator and outcome, governance, risk management, and a compliance system. And a disclosure expectation go beyond the traditional financial statement, conventional CSR reporting. So any social enterprise which is listed on a social stock exchange, so, in addition to this financial statement or a conventional CSR reporting, they also need to disclose. They have certain mandatory disclosure requirement, which include a social objective and target beneficiary, how they have made use of fund which is raised through the SSE, defined impact indicators, and what are the outcome, governance, risk management, and the compliance system. So access to social stock exchange. So social stock exchange act as a regulated fundraising platform. Regulated fundraising platform. So traditional commercial enterprise, as we all know, raise fund through IPO or FPO, initial public offering or further public offering. Same way, social stock exchange also act as a fundraising platform, and that will enable access to the retail, non-institutional, institutional investors. So all types of investor can invest into a social enterprise, and impact is aligned and means capital. So that will introduce a market discipline, a standardized reporting format, greater scrutiny of the social impact claim. So once actually the social enterprises file their annual report on the social stock exchange, so that will become a public document. So anybody can scrutinize that document, and if the claims made by that social enterprise in that social impact report or in their annual report is not based on the facts, so that can be challenged by any stakeholder. So that will provide more reliability, more transparency to a social stock exchange, social enterprise. So the social intent must be embedded in a charter document. So that we have seen there are 17 activity. So the charter document, whether it is if it is a trust, so trust deed, if it is a companies or articles of association and memorandum of association. So social intent must be embedded in that document, and board oversight and a decision making. So a board will ensure, board of governance of that enterprise will ensure whatever social intent is disclosed in the charter document is achieved, and program design and spending pattern, this will also be embedded in the social impact. So weak impact articulation or mission drift can lead to ineligibility. So social stock exchanges means board of governance of the social stock exchange. We all know in India, NSE and BSE, National Stock Exchange and Bombay Stock Exchange, both have a social stock exchange, a separate platform of social stock exchange. So, governing body of social stock exchange, they have prescribed certain ineligibility norm. So if the criteria prescribed are not made, so a social enterprise can become ineligible, and a loss of investor confidence. So significance for a social impact assessor and a finance profession. So create a formal regulatory boundary between genuine social enterprise and conventional businesses. Expand professional responsibility in eligibility assessment, impact verification, disclosure review. So this impact verification is a very very detailed job, a very very detailed study, and that is a continuous process. Normally any audit, so if we are a chartered accountant or cost accountant, we know we can perform the financial audit or tax audit or cost audit or secretarial audit through the text of review, but social impact assessment is not limited to a text of review. That will involve a field visit, field study, and that is a teamwork. Social impact assessment is a teamwork that is beyond reach of a individual professional, because depending upon the scope of work at times that need experts from many a different field. So this will reduce this means impact assessment in a correct manner, that will reduce scope for impact washing. Impact washing means incorrect claims made by the social enterprises in order to meet the criteria. So that is known as impact washing, and misuse of social branding for fundraising. So these are the implication of SEBI definition, and a primacy of a social intent. So we have seen that is the SEBI test. SEBI test. So that we have seen. So core eligibility requirement, social impact must be a primary objective, cannot be incidental or a secondary requirement or the objective or the purpose or the aim. And two mandatory tests for this requirement. Number one, activity test. Number two, target segment test. So these two tests are defined within the SEBI regulation. So as a social impact assessor, our focus should be on the mission statement of the social enterprise, governance document of the social enterprise, and program design and spending pattern of the social enterprise. So these are actually our, as a social impact assessor, this should be our area of focus, our area of focus. So these are the permitted social activity area. We have seen 17 are there in SEBI regulation. So that will include poverty, hunger, malnutrition, healthcare, sanitation, safe water, education, employability, skilling, gender equality, inclusion, environmental sustainability and climate action, livelihood, financial inclusion, housing, a disaster relief and a rehabilitation, a digital inclusion and a data protection. So these are the permitted social activity road area. So now we will go to the legal forms of non-profit and for-profit organization. So non-profit social enterprise. There can be a trust a society or a Section 8 company. So non-profit organization can be either a trust or a society or a Section 8 company. So these are three formats which are available to the non-profit social enterprises. So that is category number one of social enterprise. We have seen two category, non-profit and a for-profit organization. So at what stage activity tests are conducted and by whom these tests are conducted? So actually a test should be part of the charter document as we already discussed. So if it is a trust, so these these core activities should be part of the trust deed of a non-profit social enterprise. And as we discussed, there is a disclosure requirement at least in annual basis, at least on an annual basis. Social enterprise need to file a annual report with the social stock exchange, and whatever claims are made in that annual report or the disclosures are made in that annual report, that need to be assessed by independent social impact assessor. So that is a continuous requirement. That is a periodical basis. Social enterprise need to file with that. So I hope that is clear. Any further question? Because see, activities of a social enterprise will be ongoing. That will not be limited to a particular a period of time, that is ongoing. So that is how actually periodical basis they need to disclose what impact they have created. So kindly share CSR report, Eclavia Foundation. This is not a CSR report. CSR report is different. So if you need, I will share both annual report as well as a CSR report. So there is a difference between annual report, which is filed by the social enterprise, and the CSR report. So let me share both the report so that it is clear. I will take just 1 minute. See, this Eklavya Foundation, this is a 24-25 report, as you can see. So this is annual report, not a CSR report. And this is the CSR report, like as you can see, independent CSR impact assessment report, HDFC Life Insurance CSR project for 2021. And so CSR report is different than the annual report. If you need, I will upload both these report in the chat box. And you can go through this. Apart from that, there if you search on internet, you will come across many more such report. So internet, these are freely available. As I informed you, these are a public document. Once it is filed on a stock exchange, so that will become a public document that will be available to any stakeholder who wish to have access of that. So just give me a minute. I will share that. So I have uploaded both this document in the chat box. So depending upon your requirement, you can download that. And I have also uploaded in a chat box one actually how to actually make listing on a social stock exchange. So this is very good presentation which is given by the NSC. So this will be a very helpful in your professional engagement relating to this. So I hope these are useful. Apart from that, if you need any document, kindly inform me. If it is available with me, I will definitely share that.
Sir, I have a question.
Go
Can
ahead,
you
madam.
give some more clarity on the CSR report and the annual report because I couldn't follow through due to some connectivity issue. So, as per my understanding, CSR report has to be submitted as per the provisions of the Companies Act, right?
Yes,
And the
very
annual
true.
report that you are talking about is
Is
exactly.
as per the listing requirement on a social stock exchange, madam.
Yes, so both are different, and
Both are different.
as much as I understand, the CSR report is, as per the if a company has a certain CSR obligation, uh, and if they are carrying out any CSR project, so for that particular project, that CSR report needs to be submitted, right?
Yes, madam. So, as you rightly pointed out or rightly highlighted, madam, as per the provisions of Companies Act, if a company making a profit or a surplus, so certain project, a certain percentage of that need to be allocated to the CSR activity. And if that corpus or the fund in a CSR, if that is beyond a threshold like 5 crore rupees. So, social impact assessment of that from a social impact assessor is the mandatory requirement as per provisions of the Companies Act.
Sir, I guess as per my understanding, if the project outlay is rupees more than 10 crore, and for a particular year, if
Subsequently,
it is
it is revised to 5 crore, madam. That you can go through that. And either 5 or 10 crore, but beyond that, actually, assessment from a social impact assessor is
Assessment is
required.
mandatory, right? If I'm not
Yes,
wrong.
yes,
Okay.
yes. है ना? So you
So
can go
both are
through that.
different, right? If I'm annual report that has to be submitted as per the SSC provision is different. It is for the
Yes.
if a particular NPO is raising funds from SSC, then they have to submit the if they have been registered and if they have raised a fund, then in that case they have to submit an annual report as per the SSC provisions.
No, madam. Actually, any enterprise which is registered. So let me
Yes.
take you through this SEBI regulation again, so that we are on same page. Just give me a minute.
So if they are registered, even then they have to submit the
Yes,
annual report
yes. So,
and
yes. So, see, there are three categories. You can see here. Provisions of this chapter shall apply to a non-for-profit organization seeking to only get registered with social stock exchange. So, traditionally, you will get registration or listing on a stock exchange only if your raise fund है ना. So a IPO is mandatory, like for equity IPO is mandatory for a listing on a stock exchange. Without that a traditional commercial enterprise cannot list on a stock exchange, but that is condition is relaxed for a non-profit organization. So non-profit organization seeking only to get registered with a social stock exchange, so not necessary they will raise fund. So that is category number one. Category number two, not-for-profit organization seeking to get registered and raise fund through a social stock exchange. And third category is for-profit social enterprise seeking to be identified as a social enterprise under the provisions of this chapter. So three category, madam. So raising of fund is not required for a non-profit organization. Any further question? I hope this is
so
clear, madam.
So if the NPO is registered with SSC, they have to submit the annual report. But if they have
Yes,
raised fund, they
yes,
have to go for the impact assessment as well. And that will be a
yes.
part of the annual report, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
The
So
impact
whatever,
assessment report has to be a part of annual report, right?
yes. So whatever disclosure requirements are there, that they need to comply with, that they need to. And the presentation which I have said just now in the chat box, so that gives a requirement of disclosure also, if you kindly go through that. NSC presentation.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So somebody wanted my contact number, so I have given my contact number in the chat box. So I hope this is clear.
Rasir here.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
During the session, you told some online course. Will you share the link, sir?
Link, certainly, sir. Coursera is the course. I will, 1 minute. I will share the link in the chat box. है ना? So I will highlight first, then I will share the link also. Just give me a minute. My screen is visible. hope my screen is visible. This is UNCC, United Nations CCE Learn. So here you will get many courses which are free actually, online courses. At your convenient time, you can do this, and you will get a certificate also for many course. So climate change, green economy, there are actually many a circular economy. So there are many courses. This course catalog, if you go through, it is a having many courses which are available online and free of cost. So I will share the link of that in the chat box so that you can take advantage of that. And I will also share the link of somebody has already shared that link. So this UNCC Learn, that is also a very good avenue for learning on this and climate change, environmental and all. So any further questions, sir? I hope you got the reply. So these are the legal form of non-profit social enterprises. So trusts are oldest and most traditional charitable legal form in India. We all know about that. And these are managed by a group of trustees who act as custodian of the asset, and property and funds are held in a fiduciary capacity for the benefit of defined or undefined beneficiary. So governance structure, so these are centralized decision making with the trustee and a limited role of beneficiary or the external stakeholder. So we all know Tata Trust is functioning for philanthropic activity. So decisions are taken by the trustees of the Tata Trust, and other beneficiary or a stakeholder, they have limited role in the governance. And founding document, that is trust deed, that will define the objects, powers and succession. And these are commonly used for a philanthropic foundation, family led or endowment based social initiative. So that is number one. Number two is society. So these are association of person which are formed for charitable, social, cultural, and educational purposes. And these are member driven structure with collective ownership, governance framework of a society, so democratic decision making through a managing committee, regular election, and a general body meeting. And founding document is a memorandum of association, rules and regulation for the society. And these are commonly used for community-based organization, member-driven advocacy, and service delivery organization. And Section 8 company, so these are incorporated under Indian Companies Act 2013 for a charitable objective, and these operate under a corporate legal framework, governance structure, so board of director with defined fiduciary duty, separation of ownership and management. Founding document is a memorandum of association and articles of association, and these are commonly used for professionally managed NGO organizations seeking credibility with the corporates and investor. So these are actually the formats or a legal form, or the framework of non-profit social enterprises. Three types: social, a trust, society, and a Section 8 company. And what are the implication of legal form selection, governance, and funding and compliance? So impact on governance, quality, and control. So trust, these are high control with a trustee, as we have already seen that in the previous slide. Lower transparency. So when control is with limited people, naturally there will be lower transparency if governance safeguards are weak. Society, so that is broader participation, but potential for internal conflict. Decision making may be slower due to democratic process. And Section 8 company, so strong governance norm, board accountability and a statutory oversight. So that Section 8 company will be managed by a board of director. So board will be accountable for all the decision which are taken related to day-to-day operation of the company. So effect of funding, access and investor confidence. So trust and society preferred by traditional donor and a government scheme, easier access to grant and philanthropy. Section 8 companies, so these are favored by a CSR funder, impact investors, a multilateral agency, and better alignment with the SSE a disclosure expectation, and legal form and influence, so eligibility for CSR, perception of transparency and professionalism. So these are the implication, and this a difference differences in a differences in a reporting and a compliance burden. Trust in society, so compliance vary by state law. Reporting often limited unless linked to a tax exemption and FCRA. Section 8 company, so mandatory filing with registrar of company, statutory audit, board report, annual report, a higher cost of compliance but greater credibility. And key consideration for assessors and promoters, so legal forms should align with scale and complexity of operation, funding a strategy, long-term governance need, and a legal structure is not merely administrative. So that will shape accountability, sustainability, and growth trajectory. So these are the implications of a legal firm. And now we will discuss for-profit social enterprise. But before doing that, as I can see, it is around 90 minutes from when we started. So if convenient, we will have a 7 to 8 minute break. We should not sit continuously at one place for health reason also. So we will have a 7 to 8 minute break. I hope that will be convenient to each one of you. And we will resume the session after a short break. But before that, if you have any further question, so questions are always welcome. And number two, uh, uh, if you have any expectation, particular expectation from this session, so please inform. I will try my level best to cover that in the remaining time. So any feedback, any uh, question on whatever we have covered so far?
Yes, sir. I thank you very much, sir. Your presentation is really very good.
Thank you, sir.
Especially, with the intention of for appearing the examination, all those things very good. So only one request, I don't know whether I can make it or not. Is it possible for you to share the PPTs because that bullet points is very good, sir. I don't know whether
Sir, definitely, sir. Why not, sir? At the end of the session, I will definitely do that, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. It gives
Yes,
a
sir.
bullet points at the time of appearing for the examination. That's it.
Yes. Short and sweet. I will definitely do that, Anna, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Right.
So apart from that, any a question? So questions are always welcome.
Sir, I have a request. During the I have a request with regards to this. I am seeking elaboration on the logic model and theory of change. So, I would request you if during the course of
So
your session,
immediately after the break, we will cover that.
both the things, logic model and theory of change. So I wanted
Yes.
clarity on both the topics.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So if no further question, we will have a short break of 8 minutes, and we will resume the session after that. Thank you for your attention throughout this session and making this very, very interactive. Thank you. Are you all there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir. We are there, sir.
Okay, thank you. So prior to going into break, madam, may I request all please mute whenever you are not talking. So prior to going into a break, Madam asked this specific question. So now we will go to second topic, why theory of change matters in a social impact assessment. So social intervention, may I request all to please mute? Okay. So a social intervention, these operate in a complex non-linear system. So financial expenditure alone does not demonstrate a social value. So if I spend 1 crore rupees for the betterment of society, I cannot claim that society, whatever impact was expected by the stakeholder, that is achieved. That is achieved. So financial expenditure alone does not demonstrate. A theory of change will provide a causal logic framework, linking resources to a result, a structured way to test assumption behind the intervention. So this theory of change concept is increasingly now required for CSR reporting, SSE disclosure, impact investor due diligence. So for assessor, as a social impact assessor, a theory of change is the starting point for evaluating the credibility of impact claim. So a theory of change, this is a systematic explanation of how and why an intervention is expected to work. So this is the broad meaning of a theory of change, how and why an intervention is expected to work. So that will articulate a problem being addressed, pathway from action to impact, and assumption underlying the change. So that will go beyond activity listing, that will explain causality, not just a sequence. So we will get answer of this question. If we do X, why should Y change, and under what a condition? So this is a theory of change, a problem statement. So that will clearly define social issue and affected population. Inputs are resources deployed. Activities are what the program actually does. Outputs are immediate deliverables. Outcomes are short to medium term changes, and impact is long term sustained change. And assumptions and risks, so these are external conditions that must hold true. So probably actually this will be more clear if we go through a practical case study on this. So let me share this in a simple word so that we understand in a better manner. So just give me a minute. So I hope this is visible. My screen is visible. So this is health sector, social enterprise, affordable primary health care. So here the problem statement is, so it will start with the problem statement. So any social enterprise or any philanthropic organization, they will first actually identify the problem, what issue society at large is facing. So a problem statement. So here actually the problem statement is low income urban and peri-urban population. They face limited access to affordable primary health care, high out of pocket expenditure, late diagnosis leading to a preventable complication. So this is the problem statement, and based on this problem statement, the theory of change or a TOC will be formulated. So here actually against this problem statement, this is the theory of change which is suggested for a formulation. So if affordable quality primary healthcare is made accessible close to community and supported by a preventive screening and health awareness, then early detection and treatment will improve, leading to better health outcome and reduce financial distress. So now we have clear cut problem statement and the theory of change. Now to achieve this change, we need to make a certain input. As in production process, it will start with the raw material. So here inputs for these change will be capital investment in clinics and diagnostic equipment, trained doctor, nurses, community health worker, a digital health record and a telemedicine platform, partnership with labs, pharmacies and local bodies. So these are suggested input, and we can even highlight this input in quantitative terms. So these are the quantitative indicators of the input: total capital invested, annual operating budget, number of full-time doctor, nurses, health worker, number of clinics established, IT investment in EMR telemedicine system. So these are in a quantitative terms. So input, these are the input needed, uh, uh, and after that activity. So if we relate it with the production, so first raw material is input here, and then the uh, production process. So production process here is equivalent to the activities which will be carried out. So activity will be operation of low cost primary care clinic, preventive health screening like BP, diabetes, maternal health, health education and follow up counseling, referral and continuity of care services. And if we want this activity in a quantitative terms, so quantitative indicators can be number of cleaning operating days per month, number of outreach screening camps conducted, average consultation time per patient, number of health education session delivered, a percentage of patients receiving follow-up reminders. So these are the a part of quantitative indicators of the activity. So theory, we have started with the problem statement. Then we have formulated the theory of change. Then we have introduced the input to achieve this theory of change. After that, these are the activities which are carried out. So a result of these activities will be output and outcome. So output, remember, that will be always in quantitative terms. Outcome, in majority of the cases, will be in qualitative terms. So that is the differentiation between outcome and output. Output in quantitative terms, outcome in qualitative terms. So a number of outpatient consultation delivered, number of screening conducted, number of patient enrolled for follow-up care, cost per consultation maintained below the market rate. So these are the output. And if we see exclusively from the quantitative indicator perspective, so number of outpatient consultation conducted, a number of screening, BP, diabetes, a number of patients enrolled in chronic care program, average cost per consultation, percentage of patient from the target income segment. And then outcome, so increase early diagnosis of chronic condition, improve treatment adherence, reduce avoidance hospitalization, improved health seeking behavior among a target communities, and impact of all this. So finally, it will be impact. So impact is long-term reduction in disease burden, improved population health indicator, reduce catastrophic health expenditure for the household. So this is how actually this works actually, starting with the problem statement, then a formulation of theory of change, then introduction of input, then carrying out of the activity resulting in output, outcome, and impact. So this is the entire process, and we have actually more case study, but since time is limited, we will have only one. Uh, uh, I hope this is now clear. Any question, Kavita madam? Any question on this? I hope you are there.
No, sir, no questions.
Okay, thank you. So what we will do, we will quickly go through a for-profit social enterprise also. So we have already covered a non-profit. Now it is for-profit social enterprise, a business model and operating logic. So these are commercial entities. These are commercial entities with explicit social mission. So though they are commercial entities, they have explicit social mission. They are incorporated as a for-profit organization, but created to address defined social or environmental problem. And they differ from a conventional business. A social impact is intentional, core to the value proposition, and profit maximization is not the sole dominant objective. So these are the area of difference between a traditional commercial enterprise and a social enterprise. Both have profit is common. Both are for-profit organization. The traditional commercial enterprise and the for-profit social enterprise. But difference lie in creating the social impact, and profit maximization is not the sole or dominant objective. These for-profit social enterprise, they operate with clear and sustainable business model. Product or services are designed to solve a social problem, not merely generate revenue. So again, you can recall those 17 areas of activity. So business model will clearly define a value proposition, what problem is being solved, customer segment, who will pay, who will get benefit, often overlapping but not always, and cost structure and revenue stream. Emphasis is on unit economy, scalability, and operational efficiency. So these are for profit and revenue generation from identifiable customer. So these for profit social enterprise, they don't earn a revenue from all the customer or from all the stakeholder. So they earn revenue through sale of goods or services rather than a reliance on grant. Customer may include end beneficiary like affordable health, education, energy, and aggregators, government or institution like B2B, B2G model. A revenue discipline will enable the financial sustainability, a predictable operation, and reduce dependence on a donor cycle, a reduced dependence on the donor cycle. And these are the common legal structure which are adopted for-profit social enterprises. So remember, for a non-profit, we had trust society and Section 8 company, but here we can have LLP, a limited liability partnership. We can have private or a public limited company, and we can have even a producer company. So flexible structure, LLP flexible structure with lower compliance, suitable for early stage or professional partnership. Private or public limited, so corporate governance framework, easier access to equity and debt capital, and a producer company, a design for a farmer or artisan collective, combines cooperative principle with corporate structure. Corporate structure. So these are the legal structure and impact alignment, governance, and regulatory expectation. So demonstrate a tangible social impact as non-negotiable requirement. So primacy of social impact is the requirement for SEBI regulation. We have seen that, and social outcome must be clearly defined, and this should be measurable also. So here the metrics of social impact will play a very important role. So I will suggest you study on a measurement part, metrics, how to develop metrics of social impact assessment. So this should be measurable and directly linked to core business activity. And impact should not be peripheral, occasional, limited to CSR or a philanthropic add-on. So this should be primary. Impact should be primary aim, not a peripheral aim. Alignment for a profit with mission. So profit generation should reinforce the social objective, enable scale and sustainability of the impact. Pricing, product design, and market expansion decision that need to preserve affordability and inclusion, avoid exclusion of a target beneficiary. And what, as a social impact assessor, we need to examine whether growth increase or whether growth increases or dilutes the impact. These are the governance safeguard to prevent mission drift, social intent embedded in the memorandum and articles of association of for-profit organization or the social enterprise, shareholder agreement, board mandate, oversight mechanism by board level, responsibility for impact, periodic impact reporting. So this is once they list on social stock exchange, so they actually need to have periodic reporting. Management incentives should balance financial performance, impact outcome, and a regulatory and social stock exchange related implications. So for-profit social enterprise seeking social stock exchange access, they must satisfy a SEBI's primacy of social intent test and meet enhanced disclosure requirement. And these are subject to higher scrutiny from investor, greater expectation of transparency and accountability. So as I highlighted, once a report is filed with the social stock exchange, so that will be available on the website of social stock exchange as well as the concerned social enterprise. And once it is available on the internet, it is a public document. So any stakeholder, any citizen from the population at large can question whatever is disclosed in that report. So that will give more transparency and accountability to the for-profit social enterprise. And role of professional, so validate the business impact alignment. So as a social impact assessor, we need to validate the company's claim or enterprise claim about alignment of the business and impact, and assess robustness of impact measurement system. So a social intent and a social impact, so that we have discussed, and these are actually uh, what I will do. I will share this PPT because you know, time of this session is over. So what I will do, I will share this PPT in the chat box. Uh, just give me a minute. So I have uploaded my PPT on the chat box. Uh, so based on your requirement, you can download that. And I thank Dr. S.K. Kar for your kind words through this chat box message, as well as each one of you. Can you also reshare the previous files as well? Previous, which files, sir, you want? HDFC CSR report you need, sir? Let me share that once again. Just give me a minute. So HDFC a CSR report, I have already done that. Anna. Thank you, Sumit sir. Thank you, sir, Raja sir.
This session will, yeah, thank you. I would like to keep the session very interactive. I have prepared a few slides. I will be talking to you on the topic of social impact assessment. My name is Prajakta Mani. I am a co-founder at Blue Sky CSR. We are in the social impact space since 2018. In uh, 2023, I have been a certified social impact assessor on the Social Stock Exchange. I also had the opportunity of conducting the social impact assessment of the first ever listed entity, which is Unnati Foundation. And I also conduct CSR impact assessments for corporates, and also at the same time work with non-profit organizations in order to strengthen their measurement systems through the development of starting with the theory of change, logic models, etc., to actually developing how the measurement systems will be built. So that's the work I do. I am based in Bangalore, and I would love to hear from the participants. I know there are a lot of participants since I'm joining this session right now. If you could be so kind and just introduce yourself in the chat very quickly. Your name is of course appearing along with the chat, but what do you do? And if we can quickly have that going on while I pull up my PPT. Okay, thanks, Anil Kumar. Can we have everybody in the chat writing in the chat, please? Okay, Aarti Nigam, social assessor. Kavita, hello, Kavita. Okay, Mr. MS Senthil, Celine Kumar. Okay, keep your chats coming. Sasmita Mishra, okay. Sudhir Gadhir. Okay. Asir Raja, right. Ramesh working at AT&T, okay. Jyoti Mishra, hello. Chittaranjan Hota, okay. Yashika Sharma, research student, okay. Hello, Yashika. Maya, you're exploring a career change in ESG, great. Dr. S.K. Kar, C.V. Raman Global University, Impact Assessment Activities, okay. Shivram Prasad, engineer, retired ED Defense, okay. I have to appear for a renewal exam, okay. Ayan Murthy, practicing CMA. Manish Payak, head finance AS NGO. Dr. Sanjita Lenka, okay, good afternoon. C.V. Raman, lot of people from C.V. Raman Global University, okay. Is there anybody else left to introduce yourself? Okay, you can, for the ones who are still left, keep typing. I'm now going to pull up my PPT in my screen share. Okay. Just give me a thumbs up if my screen is visible. Okay, I'm just going to... Okay. Now, I am not able to see anybody on the chats. I'm just going to take a moment and see if I can log in through my zoom.us account. You can just bear with me. Okay. Advanced sharing options. Let me see. One participant. Okay. Okay. Hello, Shruti. Hello, Santosh. Okay. Just bear with me a moment. Okay. Yeah, I'm able to see the window now. So please tell me if you're able to see my screen now. Hello?
Yes, madam, it is
Okay,
visible.
all right. Thank you. Okay. So, over the next hour, I'm going to talk about social impact assessment in the purview of social stock exchange. We know that in the CSR impact assessment space, the social impact assessments by third parties have been mandated for a while now. That is, corporations that are spending more than 10 CR in their CSR budgets. And if there are any projects that have 1 CR or more spending, then they have to be mandatorily impact assessed by third parties. And then the companies have to put up the impact assessment reports on their websites as well as on the MCA portal. They have to submit it. Now, that is the context of the CSR. Now, in the context of social stock exchange itself, there are certain uh, tools, or you can say certain infrastructure that has been developed for the sake of the social stock exchange. So what we will be doing is we will be going through that, and then after the 1 hour, so we are together for 1 to 2, and then 2 to 3 we have a lunch break, and after that we are together from 3 to 4 and 4 to 5. So in the 3 to 4 session, we will be diving deeper into planning for a social impact assessment, and in the 4 to 5 4 to 5 session, we will be looking at how to approach data collection for the social impact assessment. So that is the structure, the way we are going to follow. Now, to begin with, moving to the slide, why impact assessment on social stock exchange? Now, we know for a fact that for the regular stock exchange, the financial statements that the companies submit, that is kind of sufficient for the uh, understanding of how the company is doing. And then there are various ratios that get posted, and people who are active investors keep tracking these ratios, etc., to understand whether they want to buy stock of the company or they want to sell or they don't want to buy at all. Now, why social impact assessment becomes important for the social stock exchanges? I want one differentiating point from each one of the participants in understanding what is the main currency of uh, what is okay. I will not use the word currency, but I will use the word what is the main difference between a for profit entity that is listed on a stock exchange versus, let's say, a non profit entity that is listed on a social stock exchange. What do people look for when they are looking for, oh, how is this non profit actually doing? Quick one word answers, or a couple of words if you want to. I'd like the participants, all of you, to type in the chat. I will also go to the chat for a moment. Zero coupon. Okay. I want a little more fundamental difference, Aarti, if you can think about. My question, I'm going to repeat. My question is, what is a fundamental difference between a company that is listed on a regular exchange versus a non-profit that is, say, listed on the social stock exchange? Okay. Yashika is saying generate revenues. Okay. For profits generate revenues, whereas NPOs don't. Okay. Fair enough. Intention of profit use. Okay. That's fine. If you're a Section 8, you can make profit and you can plow it back into your work. Okay. All right. Primacy of objective. Okay, yeah, Shivram, I think it's coming closer to what I was expecting. Profit and social objective. Okay. Anybody else wants to give it a shot? Okay, fine. So I'll come back to social impact. Yeah, primary objective is social impact. Social impact, and to add to that, what is the major currency that we are talking about here? We are talking about credibility, the trust that the nonprofit is able to establish so that HNIs or other retail investors would be willing to put money into them. And once they have put money into them, given the fact that nobody is going to make any profit, the bare minimum thing that you want to understand is, hey, for X amount that was given to this entity, what has been the first, how it has got used, how the money has got used, and after the interventions have been run, what has been the outcome of all of that money spent. So that's the credibility that nonprofits need to establish, especially so on the social stock exchange. And which is why helping those nonprofits absolutely establish that credibility, and with a transparent approach, because this is a third party impact assessment, be able to tell the public that yes, there has been a meaningful difference that this nonprofit has been able to do after it has collected X amount of money on the social stock exchange. So therefore, coming to three important points, regulated disclosure तो है ही है. Impact reporting is not optional for entities that are listed on the stock exchange. Investor trust and comparability, I talked about trust and credibility. And imagine a future scenario. I mean, today we have only about 14 organizations that are listed on the social stock exchange. Tomorrow, if there's an opportunity for people to choose among hundreds of nonprofits that are listed on the social stock exchange, and let's say they are also, people are looking at what is the kind of impact that these entities have been able to deliver, and then decide where they want to put their money. They want to put it in NPOA or NPOB or NPOC. That becomes a decision making point for entities to put their money. And evidence over intent. The whole idea of the social stock exchange has been that taking from what, everybody says that they run organizations with good intent, fair enough, but you need to move from that intent to a verifiable impact, and that's the language of social impact assessment that we are going to talk about. Okay. Moving on. Now, what defines a, I'm sorry, my slide share just stopped. Is there a problem with my screen sharing? I am getting a message from Aarti saying that kindly adjust screen. Is there something blocking the screen? Is this better now?
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay.
Yes,
great.
ma'am, this is better.
All right, fine. So now what defines a good impact assessment on SSE? So there are three very clearly defined areas. Number one is first understanding who is the beneficiary that was reached, who has been benefited by running the program. So the scale and the profile of the beneficiaries is very, very important. So when we are doing an impact assessment as impact assessors, we need to thoroughly understand that. Then depth in terms of what has changed. So suppose there is a academic intervention where students of, let's say, 10th and 12th standard have been given extra coaching. Now, what has changed for these students before they were given the coaching versus after they were given the coaching is something that you as an impact assessor will have to look out for. So therefore, measuring those transformations that have happened to the extent that they have happened, and where we need to focus on, has there been a behavioral change? If there has been a behavioral change, or some economic situation has changed, or social outcomes, like earlier in this area there was no greenery, but now after this project has been implemented, there are a lot of the flora and fauna of the place has improved. So those kind of things we need to before and after check for. And inclusion, who was prioritized? So is there a demonstrated intention where the vulnerable and the marginalized communities are specifically being addressed? We all know that in the CSR parlance we talk about the aspirational districts. This was something that Niti Aayog had identified almost a decade ago, where they said that if you are doing CSR and if you are working in these areas, these are aspirational districts, we would want you to work in these areas. Similarly, the PSUs, they are mandated to work in aspirational districts because they have seen that a lot of corporate money does not flow into the aspirational district. So things like that. It is your program prioritizing those vulnerable groups or the generally excluded groups into your design. So that is also, as an impact assessor, we have to carve out this. Sometimes it may be very explicitly defined, sometimes it may not be explicitly defined, and hence we have to go looking for it with that inclusion lens. Acha. Now, what is our role as a social assessor? There are very key three things that get talked about, and as like since I'm also a social impact assessor, one is you're an independent verifier. You cannot be influenced by anything. You will look for very, very specific evidence and you interpret the evidence that you pick up both from the non-profit that has listed on the stock exchange, as well as when you actually also go to the field and you do your independent assessment, and you also are a credibility gatekeeper. What does that mean? That we are responsible to the stakeholders trust who have put their money. We all know that the stakeholders are not going to make any profit out of it. It is a ZCZP instrument that we are talking about, but therefore it's important for withholding that trust, validating those claims that have been made, flagging if there are risks, if any, in terms of the program implementation or execution, and ensuring that only the impact that is substantiated. Now, when I use the word substantiated can be both in terms of numbers as well as in terms of qualitative assessment. So, substantiated impact reaches the investors and the public domain. So we need to keep three things at the back of our mind. We are independent verifiers. We are going to interpret the evidence, and we are the gatekeepers of credibility for the public that has put money into that non-profit that is listed on the stock exchange. Okay. Now, coming to what I said earlier, like just like in the CSR space, there is a certain way of working, way of thinking, there are certain approaches. Similarly, a impact architecture has been developed for the social stock exchange. Now, as social assessors, we need to be aware of these three things. First is the fundraising document. The fundraising document, we all know, it's put out by the entity that wants to get listed. It basically is promising to achieve something. So very important for me as an assessor to say, okay, what is that entity promised to achieve? Define their intended outcomes. Who are their target beneficiaries? What are they going to measure? How are they going to measure? This is what I will learn from that. Then there is a solution implementation plan, which is how you deliver on the commitments. So you then outline these are going to be my activities. These activities will be done during this period of time. This is how I am going to collect my data. These are some of the operational assumptions we are making. And that is telling you how the program is being executed. So fundraising document is telling you what is the entity trying to achieve, and solution implementation plan is telling you how the entity is planning to achieve that particular outcome that they're setting out to do. And then these are three tools that you have in your arsenal. Impact reporting and assessment forms, it is not exclamation mark, it is form 1B, form 2.1, and form 3.1. Those are the three things that we are going to explore a little bit. Now, this is how we verify the impact as independent assessors. We evaluate evidence against the outcomes that have been mentioned in the FRD, and all along the way we ensure transparency and accountability. Now I will pause here for a moment, and I just want to do a show of hands to see, they can give me a thumbs up, the number of people who have read an FRD. My question is, give me a thumbs up if you have read an FRD, any FRD. There are 14 organizations that are listed. Okay, Yashika, Senthil, you have not. All right. I would request you after these sessions, do take a look at the fundraising documents of entities. They are there on the, if you Google it, you will find it. They have to put it in public domain. So If you haven't, please look at the fundraising documents. Okay. Now, with respect to the fundraising document itself, I'm calling it the boundary of truth. Why I'm calling it the boundary of truth is because it is establishing the limits of what can be claimed as impact. So, say for example, in the case of Unnati, they have said that they are going to do skill training for X amount of students, who then they are going to train in whatever XYZ skill sets, and who then they are going to have some percentage of those students being placed. So now you know that if these are the activities that they are going to do, and they are going to track it for, let's say, 6 months after the program is over, then you know that the extent of impact that you can observe is only going to be whether the students have landed a job or not. You may not be able to have the window long enough to understand if their economic situation has changed, then their family's economic situation has changed. All of that you cannot verify. So, as assessors, we have to be careful of what is that boundary condition, and we also then use that to define that this is a boundary condition within which we will have to talk about impact. So it's the organizations, that is the organization that is trying to list, that is first their public commitment, and it also becomes our starting point or reference point. And what are the key highlights of the FRD or the fundraising document? It defines the outcomes and KPIs. So it lists that this is what we are going to measure, this is what we will be tracking, and ideally, a good, well written FRD should leave no room for surprises later when the program has ended. It limits impact claims, like I said earlier, that only the outcomes that are stated in the FRD, those can be claimed in the SSE verified impact. New outcomes, if they discover suddenly mid project, they cannot be retrospectively added. And you also know assess later against evidence. So assessor, that is us, will evaluate the achievement by comparing the FRD promises with the actual data. So hence at the bottom line is that a very tight scope of our impact assessment will be formed when we read the FRD thoroughly, also with the assumption that the FRD has been written in a very specific and clear manner, and they are talking about what is their commitment to what extent of impact they are going to deliver. Moving forward, therefore, again, what will we look for in the FRD when we start with the reference point? It should not be over-promising. We will check for whether it is over-promising scale without saying how it's going to deliver it. Are they talking about specific outcomes, or are they talking about very vague things like we are going to do women empowerment or we are going to do upliftment of poor people? No, they should talk about what exactly they are trying to achieve. Inclusion lens, we talked about it earlier. Risk assumptions. Now, even after very good intent and after putting down all of the activities that will be done, there is always a chance that some things might go wrong, or it may not go as per plan. So for things to fall apart, what are the chances that things will not go as planned? So that is a risk assumption. What does the NPO that is listing look at or think about these assumptions, that it could hamper delivery? Either we don't get enough funding, or we all know that when COVID happened, that was a big black swan event that nobody saw coming. Nobody could have assumed that. So that was a totally unpredictable risk. But we all know that when we make plans, there are always certain predictable risks. So as an entity which is expecting to raise money, we should be, or they should be, listing it. And like I said earlier, verifiable KPIs that are possible to verify later, both qualitative and quantitative, does not matter. Now, this is more like a case I have prepared. So I will ask you some questions. I would want people, either you want to turn on your cameras and mics and respond, or you can put it in the chat, whatever works for you. So let's say there is an FRD, which is where the problem statement is that low secondary school retention among adolescent girls in some district, driven by economic pressures, early marriage, and lack of family support for girls' education. Our target group is adolescent girls who are in the age of 14 to 18 from economically disadvantaged households, who are currently enrolled in grades 9 to 12 in government schools. Now, the intended. Now, think of me that I am the person who's raising money, and this is my FRD. Uska broad areas have been put up here. The intended outcome is what? I want improved school retention. I want reduced dropout rates among the target beneficiaries through sustained engagement and family support. And my key performance indicators are percentage of enrolled girls retained in school after 1 year, measured against a baseline retention rate in target schools. Okay, I have read it. I'll just give you a moment to look at this FRD, and then I have some questions that I would like to ask all of you. Okay, are you ready for my questions? All right. My first question: if I have provided all of this information in the FRD, think about it as a social impact assessor. Is this good enough for you as a starting point, as a reference point? If yes, if no, tell me what more do you require to know?
Maybe like the retention, the other point. Can you just go back to the?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a screen picture-in-picture view for myself. So that, okay, yeah. Ramesh, it's you speaking, right?
Yes, yeah. So if
Okay,
you
okay,
see
yeah.
that improved school retention and reduced dropout rates, if they come up with a specific percentage, what they are going to achieve, that would be better.
Target. You would want a target.
Yes.
Great point. Okay. Thanks, Ramesh. Who else would like to attempt this?
Ma'am, in terms of input and activities, what are the, activities initially while, implementing the project, what are the activities they were planning to carry out? How the programs, in terms of inputs I'm talking about.
Okay, fair
In
point.
terms of
Like I have not
inputs,
mentioned how I will go about making this change. I have just said that I intend to get this outcome. Correct?
and after, carrying out certain activities, okay, in terms of qualitative figures, outcomes, outputs I'm talking about. Okay, so if you have to measure in terms of, here it is stated intended outcome, right? So if we have to measure it in terms of from qualitative, quantitative aspects, so the data and the figures that is needed.
I will not be able to say it at the beginning because I'm just
Yes,
making the FRD, right?
yes,
So I have told you that my intended outcome is improve school retention and reduce dropout rates. And I'm going to tell you that I'm going to measure percentage of girls enrolled who have been retained in school after 1 year. And I will, some baseline study I have done,
yes,
which is the current retention rate. So that much so you're saying that in addition to that, I should also talk about what qualitative aspects I want to improve.
yes.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, who else wants to attempt?
There must be some inputs and input budgets. It is what are the resources and what is the expenditure towards that, because that is a fundraising, that is a minimum basic things, I think.
Fair enough. Okay, I think Ramesh also talked about what should be the, he talked about the indicators. He talked about the targets. But yeah, fair point. I should be telling you how much money I need. Let's assume that I have that, because otherwise the fundraising document is of no point. Uh, my primary objective here is to think about this from an impact assessor lens. But TK Shivram, I'm taking your point that what are my inputs? How am I going to approach this? How much money I want to raise? That should be there. All right. Anybody else? One final, and then we can move on. Okay. Then moving on. Basically, what we need is, from a impact assessor's lens, primarily what do we need? We need to know, first of all, like I said earlier, what is the change that they are trying to make? That is number one. So is that visible to us? Yeah, that is to some extent visible to us. We all agree. Okay. Then, just one second. Yeah. Then we also want to know So what is there? Who are we making the difference for? So the target group is also mentioned to us. Fine. Then what is the outcome we are trying to achieve? That is mentioned. What is not mentioned is that what is the current baseline we are looking at. It just says some baseline, but we need to know whether today's enrollment rates today's retention rates are 30%, 50%, 70%. We don't know. So that we need to know. And what is the targeted retention rate improvement? We are just saying improve karenge. But suppose if the retention rate in school was already at 70%, and from 70% I went to 71%, I'll say I improved. 1% improvement is there. But is that good enough? So in your social contract, you need to mention that I'm going to improve the baseline by 10% or 15%, whatever your target might be. All right. And then as an impact assessor, we will look at whether that particular target has been met or not. Moving forward, so it's clear that that is the important input that we start with. What is the FRD talking about? Okay. Now, moving on. So there is a FRD is telling us what impact that these people are talking about. Solution implementation plan is actually the one that they need to include, which tells you that how they are planning to. So the why is coming from your broad pieces of outcome, this, that on the FRD. And the solution implementation plan is telling you exactly how am I going to move. Now, there are some bits of commonalities between the two. That is fine. In fact, as a social assessor, you should look for what they have mentioned in the FRD. Is it also mapping with what is there in the SIP, or is there a separation or a difference over there? Because in the SIP, four things become very important. The logic chain clarity. So we talk about theory of change, logic model, and all of that. Essentially, what it should tell you is that how the activities are going to lead to outputs, which in turn are going to produce your intended outcomes. Similarly, in the KPIs also, are your KPIs time bound? So if the project is listed for, if the project says that we are going to run this intervention for 1 year, then what are they measuring? Are they measuring for that 1 year? So each indicator should include specific targets, deadlines, during what period they are going to track, etc. Means of verification. What is the entity that wants to list on the stock exchange talking about how it intends to verify the data, specific data sources, their collection methods, how they are going to collect it, whether they have a documentation system, whether they have a measure monitoring and evaluation system, that they need to specify. And risk articulation, we talked about earlier. Okay, what are the assumptions that should hold true for the success to happen, and what are potentially, if it doesn't hold true, it's going to lead to we not being able to run our program properly. So again, as a social impact assessor, we should be tying up the two together, the FRD and the SIP. Okay. Now comes to your tools as social impact assessors, the forms that we should absolutely know about. So there are 3 forms. As impact assessors, we should know. Now, Form 1B, let me clarify at the outset that the Form B is self-reported by the NPO, where they are talking about their organizational scale and governance. There is also Form A, in which they do a lot of detailing of the financial. Some amount of financial is also there in 1B. They give an overview of their program, who are their top beneficiaries, and what have they achieved. They reported themselves. You don't need to do a social impact assessment on that because they are only registered but not yet listed. Now, when entities get listed, the picture changes. Now they have to do a Form 2.1, which is a social impact report for the project that they have raised money for. It's not their organization, it's not their entire organization. Say, for example, a non-profit runs 3 programs and one of the program is listed on the social stock exchange, then they should be filling up that Form 2.1 only from that program perspective and not the full of its organization. And Form 3.1, which is our social impact assessors report, which we will be filling up. Of course, in addition to the Form 2.1, 3 sections A, B, C, in which A and B are filled up by the organization themselves. And the C section is actually also what the impact assessor fills in. We'll come into that. So 2.1 पे आते हैं. 2.1 is your annual social impact report. So there are two sections, like I said earlier. Section A and B are reported by the entity. Section C is the assessors. Now, what is the assessor starting to do? The assessor is starting to do an independent validation. The assessor would have gotten all the data, inputs, whatever, blah, blah. But now they have to do their own thinking, triangulate all of it, do independent field visits if required. Most of the time they will be required. So do independent field visits and do the independent validation. Interpretation and analysis, that is your triangulation, basically all the documentation that got submitted by the entity, and how do you tie it up together. And you yourself write what are the risks, what are the gaps that you have seen, and your recommendations. And what will we examine? We will look at that SIP alignment that we talked about. SAS standards. Now, is everybody aware that there are 16 SAS social audit standards that were brought out in alignment with the social stock exchange? If you Google, you will find that SAS, and there are 16 such standards, which basically gives you it's like a guidance approach on if you are evaluating a certain kind of project, what are the kind of evidences you should be looking out for. Okay, so if you don't know about this, please go and check it out. It's called social audit standards. Then you look for whether they are collecting the right kind of data, whether they have defined their KPIs properly. Are they doing any proportionate adjustment? Because you know that 75% funds, if they're able to raise, then they're able to run their program. But imagine that I listed on the stock exchange, I wanted 100 rupees. And I said, of those 100 rupees, I will train 100 people. But I got only 75 rupees. Then I will have to obviously adjust my targets also lower. So you as a social assessor have to incorporate that. Inclusion we talked about, and credibility of the claims that they've been making. So net, your form 2.1 gives you all of that meat of what really is happening in the program. And then finally we come to the assessor judgment form, which is a 3.1. Now 3.1 is like, I've seen everything, I've read everything, I've done my own assessment also, and now I'm finally writing my report. So it's a synthesis report of all the evidence into a final assessment of the impact achievement. So usme your credibility of evidence that you have collected, you need to talk about that. You need to talk about how the FRD and SIP have been aligned to each other, or are there any gaps. Then you have to talk about inclusion equity lens, which was promised in the FRD. Has that been addressed? Whether they were genuinely prioritized, whether there was any limited participation of such groups, you need to assess that. And then finally, risk and recommendations. So this net becomes your conducting a social impact assessment, the nuts and bolts of it for a social impact assessor on the social stock exchange. So this is the impact architecture per se that we all have to align with if we have to do impact assessment on an entity that is listed on the social stock exchange. Today, nothing is being prescribed for those who are only registered, but for listed, it is mandatory. Okay. I'll pause for some time and ask if there are any questions. I will go back to my screen on the Zoom window. Yeah, JK sir, I've already shared this presentation with the ICMA SOA team. They will send it to you. Since it is a PPT, it's very large. They'll convert it into PDF and send it to you. Okay, embedding some creative activities which will support them in future. Okay, Acha, this was a response to earlier. Risks are missing. Okay. Any thoughts, any questions so far before we move to the next section of it? We are about 20 minutes before lunch.
Ma'am, I actually wanted to ask you regarding the social impact assessment that you had, done for Unnati, the first listing that happened. So I had read the FRD, SIP, as well as the impact assessment report of Unnati. So, they had raised some funds for the first project, and they were planning to impart some training to some 10,000 odd students, and they were planning to cover those students from 5 states, right? This was what mentioned in the FRD. and even
Correct.
in SIP. I don't remember much in detail, but I remember that after carrying out the project, they had covered students from only 4 states. Neither
Huh.
one state was left out. So, as a social impact assessor, when you had conducted the assessment, and when you noticed, okay, only 4 states have been covered. So, as from a social impact assessor's point of view, did you question them as to why the fifth state was not covered and what justification was provided? And in your report, did you feel, because as much as I remember, there was not much detailed clarification was given. So, can you just elaborate on that term? What
And you're referring to the first ever
first
impact
listing?
assessment, right?
Yes,
Huh.
yes.
Okay, yeah, I do recall that. So one thing that had happened was they had not met their 100% funding goals that they had set out for themselves. So that was number one. Number two, and therefore they had to cut down on the actual number of beneficiaries that they could target. So while it was still early days, and in fact that was some of one thing that came up through that instance only, that if we are not able to raise as much as we expected, there has to be a subsequent clarification happening first to SSE saying that we wanted to raise 100, we were able to raise whatever 80, and hence we are downsizing the number of beneficiaries. So they downsized that, and that communication of it happened actually after the impact report went. So we were also, because it was still early days, the in the ecosystem we were unsure how to report it. But if you look at it in the next report that comes out once Unnati puts it on their portal, this statement is, this conformance is there that yes, they were supposed to do X, they did X minus so much because of the proportionate downsizing they had to do. So your question is very well articulated. This needs to be mentioned by the social impact assessor, how proportionally they have downsized because of reasons that are there. But you're also right in pointing out that in the first one we did not, because we were not sure how to approach this, because it was still early days for everybody.
So I also had a discussion with the NSE senior manager regarding this particular point. So I was just, so can we say, ma'am, that there was a deviation from what they had mentioned in the FRD, because they had, initially planned to cover the 5 states, and after carrying out the project, after implementing the project, they were not able to, cover all the states. And when I read your impact assessment report, and even the SIP, I believe the SIP was prepared from the retrospective effect.
Yes.
I don't remember the exact reason why they had prepared the SIP from the retrospective effect, but I had also gone through the data that they had given in the SIP, FRD, and the social impact assessment report. And there was quite a mismatch. But my concern was more about as to why they did not cover the fifth state and why no enough clarification was provided on that. But
And
like
your
you
yeah, that's
said,
what I'm
that's
saying. Like your point is absolutely well taken, and that has been a change that has been incorporated after that instance happened. Because you also know that if an entity is able to raise up to 75%, the uh, it's accepted, right? If they raise anything below 75, then essentially what happens is the issue itself gets cancelled. So nobody had adjusted for that 75 raise kiya to kya karenge. If they don't raise 100 but they raise 75, then how do we go about it? And hence now that caveat has come into it, that an assessor needs to also validate this ki proportionately down kiya hai kya, or they are able to meet it. If they are doing 5 states, they promise they are doing 5 states with 75 rupees. That's okay. Fine, no problem.
okay.
So I hope that answers your question. And these are still early times. Evolution will
Yes.
still happen. But I appreciate the fact that you have looked at it so deeply. So yes, keep asking those questions to the right people. As an ecosystem, we all should be, raising those flags as
I
they come
had even
about.
spoken to Joshna ma'am regarding this, but I believe that the first impact assessment was done by you. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes, I remember your name was there in the report. You had certified that report.
correct.
So right now I don't remember the exact figures, but I had gone through the SIP, I had gone through the FRD,
Yeah.
and there was a lot
And
of
you're also
mismatch.
right in pointing out that the SIP had happened retrospectively because the entity did not know that, oh, SIP bhi banana hai. So nobody had,
Yes,
while all the legalese had been addressed,
yes.
the basic things about the program structure itself was not completely put. So which is why we had to work on helping them to develop that retrospectively.
Yes, and I believe even the stock exchanges were a bit flexible, because it was the
Yeah,
first
first
fundraising and
time,
impact
yeah,
assessment. This is what
true,
was
true.
communicated to me by the senior manager, Kaushal.
Correct,
Yes.
correct. You're right on that. Okay.
Madam, if in
So,
case, sorry, Tushar here. If in
hi,
case
Tushar,
they have 75%, they have acquired 75% of the total what they have
funding.
demanded funding.
Ah,
So it will be on the agency to decide what is that they will take. So they have to leave 25% because they are short of funds. So
right.
it will be the agency who will decide, like in this case, what was discussed earlier.
Hmm.
So 25% is a big chunk. So one fourth of the whole project will be downsized. So as in case of Unnati, it is 5 states, a big place. Geographically also to reach out is not easy. So it will be in the purview of a agency to decide
When you say
what has to
agency,
be
you mean
left.
the non-profit, right?
Not profit. Yes,
Ah,
the
okay.
organization, what it has to take in the 75%, or it will be like 5 states. So at least 5 states has to be considered. And then the number of the students or the beneficiary will be reduced as per. So one parameter will be constant, the rest of the parameters or in case if they want to do it in 4 states or they want to do it in
Mm-hmm.
3 states and increase the beneficiary, because maybe every state also might not have the beneficiary put up key. They will put up one in
Hmm.
one state. They in one state they will have 1,000 beneficiaries, so 5,000 in case. So 5,000 beneficiary, 10,000 beneficiary, so 2,000 in each on an average perspective. So it will be on the
Purview of the
purview of the
organization.
organization.
Yes. See, there's nothing prescribed, and if we think about social program implementations, they are also resource intensive, right? So if
Mm.
75% may for that fifth state you are not able to get an implementation team, you would rather say that instead of trying to be superficial in all 5 states, I will do depth in 3 states or 4 states, and for this I have not been able to raise enough money, so I will leave out the fifth state. It is not prescribed. The social stock exchange today does not prescribe. It is
So
totally on the organization's purview, depending on how they are resourced, how easy or difficult it is for them to find additional funds, also, let's say, right? So, yeah, to answer your question,
yes,
nothing is
so I
prescribed.
agree
Ma'am,
with you.
as
It is
per
not
my
easy because
knowledge, I'm sorry to interrupt, but as per my knowledge, I guess Unnati had raised around 2 CR. That was the amount they were looking for, and they had managed to raise that much amount.
No,
And
1.8 is what they raised,
1.8, yes.
Kavita.
Okay, 1.8. So, but the justification that was given from Unnati CEO, I don't remember, the person had given this justification that the 10,000 students that they were targeting, they had managed to, get those students from the 4 states itself. Okay. So that is the reason they did not go to the fifth state. So that was the justification that was given by them. But somewhere I feel, ma'am, if you are mentioning whatever you are mentioning in the FRD, okay, if there is a deviation, they have to plan it accordingly. Like,
Correct. And
if
Kavita,
they
like
have
I said
mentioned,
earlier, I mean, I would want to put this to rest. Completely agree that it has to. They were early days, people weren't sure. So now it is definitely getting tighter, and also the onus is on us to say that, hey, this big deviation has definitely
yes,
happened.
yes,
So if you see my newer report, once it comes on the public domain for Unnati, you will see that the multiple places I will mention that so many people were expected to be targeted, so many were targeted because of these reasons. So constantly that reasoning approach has to be brought in. If the entity is not able to answer to that, then that has to be written down as a gap, that we were not able to verify why they went
yes.
to these many and not so many. Okay,
Fair
so
enough. Thank you, ma'am.
coming
Thank you.
back coming
just
back, I just have I know we are another
just an
7 minutes into
hypothetical,
this.
if in
Yeah,
case
anybody
time
has?
permits, just an
Tushar?
hypothetical question. If in case 75% will be allowed, so then they can take up the project. If 75% is allowed, so then they don't have to withdraw. And if in case it is 90% of the total fund is received, and if they find that this project is not can they return the money? And then they say we will work only with the 75%, 15% we return. In case
I
the
have not
project
come across such a provision yet.
Like
And
suppose at times it happens like two states, and for 15%, then they have to go to the other place, and the beneficiary or the even in state it is not state, it is districts also. So you coming down, if we go down, then it will be district, taluka, village. Then whole
right.
district at times had to be left out because of the logistics and the cost effect. So in that case, hypothetically, if in case such things happen, would they be in a position to, if they say we will only go with 75% because 75 is the criteria. So if they say that 15% we don't want to get into it because it will then put up a lot of pressure and financial as well as the logistic and the physical what they have to do work.
Hmm.
So would the agency have the right to give the money back 15%?
I mean, I think it will. So one, it'll be extremely. It'll show poorly on the entity that they are not able to absorb the amount that they have wanted to raise. So I would, uh, like, since you say it is hypothetical, I think it is largely going to remain hypothetical only, for an entity that has to come to we all know that coming to the social stock exchange is today, it's not a very, like, it's not a cakewalk. There is a lot of back leg work that has to be done. So after that, despite all of that, if the entity is not prepared to absorb all the capacity that people are willing to give in terms of the fundraising, then there's something really wrong with their planning. And I would leave it at that because it's a hypothetical question, and I'll let's move on. Yeah, Tushar? Okay. Final 5 minutes. This is more like a interactive thing only. So I'll quickly share my screen and yep. So a quick. You can shout out the answers. Okay, I'm not particularly looking for. So read the question. Which document defines the boundary of permissible impact claims? I know everybody's hungry, but shout out and then go and have your lunch. Answers. Is it SIP? Is it Form 2.1? Is it FRD or is it Form 3.1? FRD.
It's
You're right.
FRD.
FRD defines the boundary of permissible impact. Then a quick thing I'm going to ask you here. Is it a mock? Actually, let me just go to another MCQ. We might lose time and we might come back to this later. Purpose of Form 2.1? Form 2.1 on the social stock exchange primarily serves what purpose? Is it to certify social impact? Is it to provide annual project level disclosure?
Provide annual.
Yes, to provide the annual project level disclosure of the social impact. Role of our assessor in Form 2.1. What best describes the assessor's role? Are we designing outcome indicators in Form 2.1? Are we validating utilization of funds? Are we providing independent analysis, interpretation, or are we certifying impact claims made in Section A and B?
Independent analysis.
We are doing independent analysis. We are not certifying yet. That is 3.1. When is Form 3.1 required? When is it to be submitted? Is required to be submitted when?
Oh, I guess it's third one. An independent social impact assessment is conducted
Is
for an
conducted on the SSC projects. Key distinction between 2.1 and 3.1. Read the statement and tell me which is the most appropriate statement.
2.1 is self-reported by NPO, 3.1 is independently certified by assessor.
Correct. Yes. At 2.1 में we all know the section C is reported by us, but उसमें certification नहीं है. उसमें only independent assessment is there. But 3.1 is your final certification. Okay. So with that, we will close the session now. Okay. Before we move to planning the impact assessment, I would like. I'll just stop sharing my screen. Okay. Thank you everybody for participating in this session. I know sessions just before lunch are the hardest to take. I would take any questions, any thoughts anybody wants to share. We have about 2 minutes before we end the session, and then we meet again at 3 o'clock. Okay. So thank you everybody for your participation. I would hope that post lunch, Again, post lunch is also hard because post lunch everybody becomes a little sleepy. So I'll try and get all of us awake when we come back at 3 o'clock. Yeah. All right. Thanks so much for